All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Long Beach. This is usually called the Monaco for IndyCar. Quite often, a very intense circuit for qualifying and racing. There are some great passing opportunities. Um, really an unusual circuit, I'd say. I mean, the real passing opportunities around here would probably be around Pine Avenue or Ticket Corner Turn. Also, Bridgestone, very tight main straight for overall racing, but you can maybe make a move with push to pass. And yeah, final section, always intense for these drivers. High speed, right, and then a double left-hander into a hairpin to finish out the lap. Gonna be seeing some very fast lap times here today with some drivers already getting the 106s. So that's going to be interesting to watch. And Alpha, our commentator for the next 2 days and possibly for the future, new here to EDRS. Um, what are your thoughts? Just to start us off.
Well, from what I've seen thus far in this warm-up session, we've had a lot of cars struggle with going down towards turn 10 and 11, specifically the Queen Mary corner. It is definitely a struggle for these guys. As they try to get down in this corner, many people do either run at the back of each other or will occasionally find their way to spin out into this corner and cause constant pileups. As we get into qualifying, that shouldn't be any issues, but as notes for tomorrow, I think we're going to see a lot of issues there with turn 11.
Yeah, definitely. That is a very slow corner and not somewhere you want to follow a driver. As I mean, we see them really going slow through there. It is a very opportunistic passing opportunity, and we've seen some people, put a wheel on the inside and usually causes an incident, as you said, but there are a few rare occasions where both drivers can kind of work it out. It does pack up quite a bit, though.
Yes, however, I do believe that most of these drivers would try to prefer to pass over here up into turn one as we see Frozen make his way down to the front straightaway. Um, I've been watching a handful of these drivers thus far. Turn one seems to be a pretty good passing opportunity for most of them, as going down into Aquarium Way has definitely been the prime overtaking spot compared to the rest.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that corner is it's a lot of corners here are some great passing opportunities, but they are um very risky, I'd say. It is a tight street course, not as tight as say Monaco, of course, as it is compared to that for IndyCar, but it is still pretty tight. Mostly dive bombs, as we've seen from previous races in real life and in other series. Mostly dive bomb moves happening, but I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Um, our latest winner now, Cam, backing up his podium finish in St. Petersburg, taking the championship lead now with the win in Gateway, taking the championship lead only by 1 point for Buckeye Racing. And what do we expect from him? I mean, he had a great performance in Gateway, not holding the lead for the entire race, but he was always in that front pack and leading the way, qualifying on pole, of course. So that's also going to help him out a lot. Not qualifying today, I don't believe. So that might be a bit unfortunate, but we hope to see him. I mean, after that pit lane start, if he doesn't make qualifying, to improve his position and, of course, really punch up high through the order as he did in St. Petersburg.
We're still wrapping up time right now for this warm-up session. We'll be getting to qualifying here shortly. Do you have any sort of comments that you've seen thus far? Because it does seem like there has been quite a struggle here early on with this warm-up session.
Yeah, I mean, drivers is really getting used to the track. This is the first opportunity they get to actually hit the circuit in the conditions that the circuit will be during qualifying and the race. Of course, that's all part of it, getting used to the layout, getting used to how like the tires and setups handle. That's going to be really an important thing as we've noticed recently here. The setups are hugely important around the circuit.
Could you elaborate further on that? What makes them so important here for our new viewers?
Well, there are a few factors to it. Main one, of course, being rotation. So The aero balance for these cars, you might notice on the dash of the car or just commentators overall pointing it out. Aero balance, it of course changes how the car handles, as in negative aero balance, so -2 or 1. Those are the options for the drivers. They cause more oversteer. The car is a bit more loose, but you get that rotation. So it is worth the risk if you're really looking for pace, late in quality maybe. You can do a pit stop, change it, and really try and push the limits. And if you go to zero, kind of neutral, it's not risky, but at the same time, it's not safe, kind of a neutral between the both. And then for aero bounds, the final two options are 1 and 2, which are a lot more on the rear. They keep the rear stable, a little bit less front degrading. However, the car is going to be a bit slower with the rotation. Some tracks, you do actually want that. So for some maybe corner profiles, it really depends on personal preference for aero bounds. But that is something to watch out for, as well as wing level. This track, it's very diverse. You have some slow corners, mainly the fountain section, or also the final section into the hairpin that require quite a bit of downforce, as well as mechanical grip. But that's what wing level will do. The straights here you can improve. So it's a very balanced track for setups. It just really depends on what you want to take advantage of.
Because we still have cars still going around for this warm-up session. Um, One of the biggest issues I've noticed is that a lot of these drivers seem to be losing grip exiting some of these corners very fast. I don't know how this will play into
Mhm.
effect, but I think we might see a lot of qualifying issues with that, especially because getting loose like that does seem to lose you a lot of speed. What's your take on that?
Well, it is really about staying on the edge around this track. I mean, I've done quite a few practice laps around here, just getting ready for the session and stuff. And really, you will notice when you're on the limit. I mean, your car will be gripping. You might step out a tiny bit out of the corners, and you just want to keep that to a minimum. It does mean that if you can get it right, you will have the best lap time, but you can make a mistake. And as we know that there are no resets in qualifying,
Oh, we have a
and if you
huge
make a
pile up in turn
mistake,
11.
oh, do we? Let me
Oh,
check.
wow, we
Oh
have a
yeah, a
car on top of
huge
another.
one. Huge pile up as we finish up warm-ups, and a few of the
Wow,
drivers in there. Hydrex, Cut, and I believe, let me check who that is. Hydrex, Cut, and Chesko in that pile up. That's interesting.
that's a
Well,
big accident there.
hopefully we won't see something like that in the race.
That is
Oh, and
quite. Ooh, and
Jay's getting
another
going
one
for it.
joins the bunch. Wow.
Yeah, huge one there in the final corner. That's something that we haven't seen this season thus far. Yeah, this final hairpin, like we said, is going to be quite incident prone.
Yes,
Well,
it's
to finish
extremely
off,
narrow. Apologies.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
It's extremely narrow, and as we've seen here, there's the racing line is quite prominent in this section. Although you're going to be cutting it in quite close, there's many lines you can take here, but they're all are involved with one another. If you even just make one mistake, that's going to cost it for everyone.
Yeah, that really is. That's why I was mentioning a lot to the drivers to spread out for this qualifying session, and really just to leave each other a safe amount of space so you don't interfere with each other. Because if you do, well, that's going to hurt both of you, really. And it's not worth the penalties. I mean, every time you make contact or something, you do get a grid drop. So is it worth it? I don't think it is. All right. So moving on to the qualifying format, of course, next. Well, for road courses, as you guys already know, we have the group qualifying format. What this means is the drivers are split up into two groups, group one and group two. That both group qualifying sessions are considered round one. And how it works is there's two groups. Each one has 9 drivers, so half of the total grid. And top six advance, bottom three drop out. The order of the people dropping out is with their lap time, so it gets crossed over. And the top six advance into the Fast 12. Then Fast 12, it's 12 cars, same as the previous session. 6 cars advance. The bottom six again get knocked out, and they get ordered in their lap time. So basically, everybody getting knocked out is that lap time that they set is their final. And then we go into the final six shootout, which is another 10-minute session. Every session is 10 minutes. that decides the final top six running order. So the first three rows for this race. Now, one thing to know is that drivers get no resets during qualifying. So if you crash, you cannot run in that session any longer. However, if you crash and make it through, you may continue in the next session. So that's going to be something to definitely watch out for as we're going to be transitioning into the actual qualifying session here, getting everything organized. And I'll have to leave you guys off here as I'm going to host. Best of luck to you. I mean, it's your first session with us here today. Um, Same with Mint. This is only second session, but really so far looking promising. And I think we're gonna see a great qualifying. I mean, some of these drivers are already really fast. And yeah. All right.
Of
I'll leave
course,
you
it's
guys
been a
with that.
wonder. We'll see you back here in the booth, hopefully following qualifying for a post-qualifying interview. And
Mhm.
for our viewers, we hope that you will stand by just a moment as we prepare to begin the first heat, or I guess first group of qualifying. Well, first of all, I've got to make sure I know who exactly is in this group. There's a few drivers I've seen that are quite notable for their driving. It's not been quite the best, so
Yes.
we will see. However, I do believe that the ones who are going to get to the top of the pylon today are definitely going to be those who are running these corners as safely as possible in comparison to running it as aggressively. You lose a lot more time when you hit these walls versus than you just actually making the corner, but most of these drivers don't seem to quite understand that, and they're pushing it full force all the time.
That is true. We have seen quite a lot of crashes just in warm up, so qualifying will be very interesting to see what happens. But I do have some high hopes for some drivers like Black Mamba, Chesco, the fan favourite over here, and then Days as well.
I can agree with those picks thus far. From what I've seen, they seem like they have a pretty good understanding of the car, pretty good understanding of the track. Now it's just going to be putting it all together for a good qualifying session.
Hopefully. Hopefully, it's why we don't see anyone go into the infamous fountain, as we have seen off stream as well in the warm up. Which
Yes, as
is
we've seen through the warm up, going down Aquarium Way is quite a difficult challenge, especially for these drivers, as once they get down there into turns 2 and 3, it's always a race around that. Mm. Still getting cars set up for qualifying, so we do apologize for the bit longer wait. We should have qualifying beginning here just shortly. So while we take this short break to begin, let me go ahead and ask a few questions for you. What do you think is going to be the primary winning strategy here for tomorrow, from what you've seen in warm up?
well, for the winning strategy. Believe obviously we might see a two-stop strategy going in play. I don't think any adjustments will be needed on air and wing unless they find suitable with the alternate versus primary tires, as those two tires separate, they can cause a lot of different traction on the track with the cars. But I do genuinely think as long as they keep round the corners, make sure they brake, we should see some pretty good racing tomorrow, or a lot of crashes like we did in the first race, where only two races actually finished at St. Pete.
Yeah, that will be quite an issue if that is the case. But it does seem like the tech department has gone through and done some changes, and the cars seem a lot more durable this time around.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on that?
Yes, we the racers were complaining quite a bit, so the technical team said, you know what, we'll fix this for you. The cars are a lot durable, but even with how dribble they are, with the four-car stack up, it can still be lethal.
Yes, from what we just saw in that warm-up crash, it's definitely the case. This qualifying session, though, hopefully that will not be repeated, and especially for qualifying, since you will definitely want a higher position to start this race. I can imagine that tomorrow there will likely be a lot of wrecks in the middle or back of the pack. As long as you can get from to the front and just pull away, I think it's going to be a pretty easy race for you. But we've got to wait to see how this qualifying session goes to figure out, will the top drivers be on top, or is it going to be some of these more riskier drivers taking those positions and then causing maybe problems tomorrow? We'll see. There's a lot to go, though, before we get that decision.
Indeed, and as just a reminder as well, these starts are brought to you by Road Racing Development Hub, and the sanctioning body today will be EDRS. EDRS. And finally, we also have Drifting Flames Drift, who is a racer today, who I don't think will be racing today, but is also one of the sponsors we have today here at Long Beach.
Still getting set up for qualifying. We have a handful of drivers already prepared to go. I'm not quite sure what the holdup is at this point in time. I think we're just waiting for a few more drivers to show up. Maybe just burning out a little bit of time. So let's give a quick rundown of the circuit. We begin, obviously, from the start-finish line, going down East Shoreline Drive all the way into Turn 1, down through Aquarium Way, onto Turn 2 and South Chestnut, and through into Turn 3. You'll hit the right-hand turn at Turn 4, and then hit another right-hand turn at Turn 5 to hit the short straightaway down West Shoreline Drive. Take a short, well, actually it's a pretty steep left-hand turn once again down through Turn 6, and that slight left-hand turn through Turn 7, going uphill. Then you'll go back downhill, hit Turn 8, a very tight right-hander going down the East Seaside Way. Going through to Turn 9 after that, it's a pretty sharp right-hand turn as well, very reminiscent of Turn 8. And then down through Turn 10 and 11 for the final corners of Long Beach. It's quite a difficult circuit. It's very reminiscent of Monaco in terms of quite its tight layout and tight hairpin corners. And obviously, we're on the streets. Nothing better. There's a lot to go on, though, and there's a lot of planning in place and a lot of driving that needs to be done and getting used to it to see what will happen here tomorrow. But it is quite interesting thus far with how the drivers have been driving, and I'm hoping that we'll see that in qualifying, especially now that we're going to be running the group qualifying. I believe we are about to begin.
Indeed, and as a group update as well, we will see Chesko in Group 1, and then Jaeger will be moved down to Group 2. But as we go back to the cars now, we see, I do believe we are almost ready to go.
Yes, I would believe so. It seems the drivers are waiting. We're just waiting for that first green flag drop for the session. And we'll go from there. This is such a beautiful track, though. I'm quite impressed with how this venue has turned, and it seems hopefully we'll be able to see these cars rip through the streets quite fast in comparison to just, your regular street car. I would show you some clips of driving down the street while we were here earlier today, but unfortunately the roads are currently closed. We can't show all that information. So we thank you for joining us to see these cars go down the roads instead.
Absolutely, yes. The track today is absolutely beautiful. Weather is nice and sunny, so we should have no interference from that.
Yes, if we look at the weather forecast, it doesn't seem like there is any rain on the radar. There's not even a cloud in the sky. You are absolutely correct on that. Temperature is perfect. Track is set. I don't think you could have asked for a better day for this.
Nope.
Oh, I think we are about to begin as the server has been locked. The pylon has been reset. I think we're ready to qualify.
So as we see the green flag,
flag.
we see Chesko coming down at the start, followed by 2 more drivers.
Now, I'm not sure if that's the right move, though. It might not be a good idea to stay up at the front into these groups, especially in a road course that's as difficult as this one. But these drivers are making their way down West Shoreline Drive, currently heading into turns 6 and 7, under the Port of Long Beach sign. We'll be following along Chesko for this first sort of lap. Oh, the red flag is out already.
What happened there?
Oh, we have a car upside down in turn 6.
Who flipped? Oh, yes, we see, yes. Oh, I believe that will be
Oh,
me.
goodness.
So...
Session immediately suspended. Wow. That is quite an impressive start, to say the least.
So, as we see the drivers pull into the pits on the very first lap, we can just see how dangerous Long Beach can be to these cars. First lap, first flip.
We didn't even make it a full lap.
No.
That is quite. Wow.
I was saying to Alpha off stream today how many crashes we might see, and it just shows that I appeared to be correct, unfortunately.
Yeah, earlier talk at the convention center was quite eye-opening for what we would see today. Well, it looks like we're about to line it back up and run it again.
As we do see the time ticking down, it'll be interesting to see if the officiation body will restart the timer or not. I don't believe so. So we'll just see the time ticking down.
I have a feeling the red flag would probably signify that the timer will be reset. We'll have to hear word from the officials on that.
Yes.
But time is still ticking down if not, so they've got to get this quickly reorganized and restarted if so. But we line it back up once again at the end of pit road, waiting just before these 2 exit cones. Oh, and there we go. We're back underway. Driver's a lot more spread out this time, which is much understandable after that incident has occurred. Oh! We got overtakes already.
Chesko not doing so well in the second lap. But Chesko is flying past.
Not sure quite what happened there, but Chesko does get back the lead. Oh! He's got a little bit of air there. Right off the wall.
Oh, straight to the wall.
Oof, man. These corners are quite difficult for these drivers to handle. Make it all the way down to turn 11 for our final corner. We hit the first actual hot laps of the race with Chesko leading the field. Time to see what laps we can put down as we follow along Chesko here for this first lap. Going into turn number 1. Playing it more safe, which that's what my plan would be if I was a driver. You don't want to hit it too hard, especially early on in the session. Probably following a little later, I'd probably run it a little harder, but right now, I think it's just set a good lap time, set a standard, and then just go from there.
Chesko is absolutely flying away from the pack, though.
Yes, he is flying through the streets of Long Beach right now as we go through turn number 8, down to the down to East Seaside Way, underneath the bridges, and now into turn 9. Through turns 10 and now to turn 11 for his first lap as he wall rides the outside of that corner. Wow. I'm surprised this car managed to withstand that. And we set the first lap of the day as a 1:05.133. Well, first time lap, I should say.
And we see Mabel spin out at the back there. That'll heavily impacted times, and very much struggling to get around the corner.
Yes, and that's going to affect his time as well for this next lap, as he's not going to have that same acceleration as he would have getting a good exit out of that corner. There's a lot of factors for this track. Oh, as Days goes in the wall into turn number 1. Wow, there's a lot of action going on track all over the place. Not even sure who to follow at this point.
No, it's action everywhere today.
Falling back along with Chesko, he's making his second lap. It seems pretty clean thus far, going through turn 10. Oh, as he hits the wall slightly, all the way through turn 11. Very slow through turn 11, but he makes it all the way around, and he goes down pit road, or I assumed just a quick pit stop, or maybe calling it for the session.
We go back to Mabel with the 117, the slowest we've ever seen.
Yes, that is quite a slow lap. That's 12 seconds off the pace of the leader. That is quite detrimental.
.110, so he has heavily improved 4 seconds. He will have the benefit though of starting on the track compared to others not in qualifying today, which will include the likes of Cam, which was our race winner last time. Oh, and Mabel sliding over the fountain there.
Very difficult circuit, as we know at this point in time. It does seem that Chesko has pulled back out onto the circuit. He'll be running some more laps. Not quite sure why he went down pit road. I think he may have changed tires just to get some better qualifying laps in. As we go down with, as we're going down into turn number 9, with Chesko. Times are improving though. Desert managed to post a 107, a whole second or almost a second faster than his previous lap. But otherwise, and Mebel did just get another second on his time. The pace is slowly picking up as we go on. However, that fast lap from Chesko, I don't think that's gonna get beat while we're here.
No, I believe Chesko is also going for a 103 with the new tires.
That's quite a difficult goal, but 107 is the average time. Knowing that, 103 is quite the goal. Got 3 cars now currently on East Shoreline Drive. Chesko, Days, and Deserter all making their way down towards turn number 1. It doesn't seem like anybody did improve that time by. But Deserter hits the wall hard into turn number 1. He's lost a lot of time from that, and Days gets right past him, right through turns number 2 and 3.
Just absolutely loving these walls. I think all drivers are today.
There's a lot of contact with the walls, but it is surprisingly, their cars are surprisingly holding up.
Oh, we actually have Mabel with a tire loss.
Oh. He's gonna have to mosey that all the way back around. There's only a minute left of racing left though, so I think that might be his final lap done then.
Yes. What we have seen from Mabel though, he is the king of getting back to the pits, as if you reset your car, that will be your one reset gone. But every race we have seen today, Mabel has somehow, even when his car is completely obliterated, managed to get back to these pits.
Yes, and it's quite a difficult pit road entry here in the Port of Long Beach, as he makes his way on the pit road, as well as Days, and it seems like we will be concluding the session here shortly with only 15 seconds left on the clock.
Yes, Days as well with another tyre loss, the back left tyre.
As we see Dessert currently going into turn number 6, he seems to be on a pretty fast lap, but Chesko as well over in turn number 6 now as well. Both making their way for their final laps as the red flag flies. As I believe they are racing back for their final laps. Let's see how they go. There's our into turn number 10, now all the way to turn number 11. There's final corner. And as we make our way back to the start-finish line, does he improve? He does, not by much, but it is an improvement nonetheless. And Chesko makes his way as well to start-finish line for no improvement. But he does set the fastest lap, and thus he concludes group number 1 on top.
Yes, and I believe we will be going to Group 2 now, so just bear with us as we get that sorted. Hydrax already ready to go.
As these two drivers are making their way back to the pit lane, they're no longer racing for the qualifying. They've just got to, now that they've finished their hot laps, they're just going to return to the pit road, and we'll have our next set of drivers begin their round of qualifying.
Alpha, how do you feel about the first session?
I am a little concerned seeing what has happened for these drivers. Chesko hit a wonderful lap on his first lap, but it doesn't seem like he could reproduce that magic. And now on his way back to pit road, I think we're not going to see that lap again.
No.
If we look at the rest of the scoreboard, Days gets a 107, and as well as Dessert, although a little bit higher on that list, and then ending off with Mabel towards the rear. It was quite an interesting session, however, the session has concluded, and we shall see what the next group has to offer. Hopefully a lot less walls.
Hopefully, but we do have Hydrax frozen currently, and I believe we might see more drivers. Just bear with us while we get this sorted.
Alright, so let's do some quick review over what has happened for this first qualifying session. Chesko hits his fastest lap with a 105.133. However, I'm not quite sure how the officials are going to do that lap, as they did ride the wall quite aggressively into the final corner for that. Days and Dessert hit a pretty good lap. I'd say that's probably like average time for here. I think the 107 range, 106 range is probably going to be our time to beat. That 105 is just out of this world.
As we see Frozen just getting his car ready for qualifying, he is pulling up behind Hydrax, I believe. 88. Currently showing off C Sports, the media broadcasting, showing you this brilliant qualifying today here at Long Beach. And we see green flag for Group 2. Hydrax making an early start. Frozen has nowhere to be seen.
Oh, and we have he's already spun out in turn number 1. Oh, and Frozen gets up in the air. That is not quite the start you would want for this qualifying session.
Absolutely not.
Not quite sure how much that would affect the tires, but as they make their way down into turn number 5, wow, that was a very hectic start to qualifying.
Yes.
Here in Group 2.
Not as hectic as we saw in the first lap over Group 1 with someone flipping, but
That is
Actually,
true.
no less.
However, we did almost just see someone flip, so
Yes.
I'm not sure it's much better. All the way to turn number 9. These two drivers seem to be pretty fast, though, immediately right out of the gate. So fast they spawn out immediately, too. That is quite... That's how you know they're giving their all, you know?
Absolutely.
As we see them come around turn 11 for their first lap of the qualifying session. Obviously, that time is not going to run too well, so we will see how this goes for our first official lap. Hopefully this time with a lot less spinning out.
Well, they have successfully cleared the first lap. Hydrax very easy to clear in the fountain as well.
Yes.
Hydrax a potential contender for Chesko.
Yes, he's going quite fast right now. Through his turn number 6 and 7, underneath the Port of Long Beach sign. It's quite interesting to see this, though, especially because we did see how that 105 came about. I think that this is going to cut it pretty close.
Absolutely.
As he's pulling away from Frozen quite fast. Through turn 11 for the final time as we set our first laps of the session. Let's see what we have. What do you think it's going to be?
I believe 107. Yes, 107.
That is correct. 107.479 is the first lap of this session. The 109.729 following that from Frozen. There's a lot of ground to make up, especially to catch up to that 105, although I'm not sure that we'll get any time like that in this session. Not too much action on the track at the moment, especially following the first sort of... Ooh, wow, he almost slid into the wall there. You know, if you wanted style points, I think he chose the right track.
Absolutely, I'm frozen straight into the barrier.
Oh.
His car does seem to be fine, though.
Oh!
Into the barrier again.
He completely missed the corner there at turn number 8. Wow, as we go down East Seaside Way, down towards turn number 9, I think he's struggling a little bit out here.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, quite a difficult lane there. Oh, ow! That's a lap, a 106.150 for unusual. That is quite quick. I think we know what our guy to watch it might be for this race.
Absolutely.
You see them pass each other both on Shoreline Drive. Making our way, following unusual through turn number 8. Oh, he hit the wall a little bit there. That's not good. But these cars are much more sturdy, so it is good to see that these drivers are definitely using that to their advantage, although probably not for the best. Unusual makes his way around for one more lap. See, does he improve as we get to the start-finish line? He does.
Oh, he does?
No, he did. He improved by 0.03 of a second there. It's not a lot of time, but he's still going quite fast through these corners.
I believe if he improves like that again, he will actually pass Chesko. If my memory serves me
I do
correct.
believe so. If he manages to cut that time down, he might actually be able to get close to that 105 time. They once again pass on Shoreline Drive.
And he misses the corner straight into the barriers. And he's just stopped there. Possibly let him Frozen go past.
I think he might be done for the session. I don't think he's gonna... I'm not quite sure that he will be continuing for the session. We shall see, but as we watch Frozen now make his laps around the track, Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened there. He just stopped up in the, forget what it's called, the runoff over in turn number 8.
We'll wait to see if we hear any news on Hydrax there. But Frozen 107.629.
Yes, he's got some ground to make up in order to match that 106.
Absolutely.
He's got to find time somewhere. Oh, but he hits the wall going to turn 1. Yeah, I probably wouldn't do that.
No.
Yes. This is quite a difficult track. However, hitting the walls this many times is probably not to your benefit, especially because with the car being more durable, yes, you can definitely give out a lot more than you could take before, but you're losing lap time every time you hit that wall. It's not even worth it to hit it at all.
Absolutely. I was racing on this track not too long ago for a short bit of time, and I could feel how painful it was. But hitting the amount of walls that we have seen today, I don't think I achieved that many. So it's interesting to see what these races have done to their cars, and we see Frozen coming into the pits.
If Frozen comes down pit road, I think he has concluded his session, as we see Unusual through turns 3 and turn 4 now. He's back into his hot laps. This is quite an interesting session. There's not many drivers running it, obviously. However, these two drivers that are running it do seem quite fast. I will not lie.
Absolutely. Hydrax, a major contender last week at Gateway for P1.
Oh, as Frozen just lost his tire exiting pit road. Oh,
That
no.
is not the best. Engineering will not be happy about Frozen.
Yeah, he's got to either manage... Oh, and he's concluded his session very early here at the Treats of Long Beach. It's quite unfortunate that it comes on the exit of pit road of all places. To see Unusual come now down through turn 1 and into turns 2 and 3, that is quite unfortunate to see there, though. I thought if Frozen came back out, I think he may have had a shot to catch right back, as we see Unusual shoot right into the wall there. Just follow along board Unusual for his final, or his second to last lap of the session, unless he calls it quit early, as we make our way down East Seaside Way. I don't think there will be much ability to improve his time. However, I have been proven wrong before, and I will probably be proven wrong again.
Absolutely. We can see anything happen here at these races. It's all just a matter of...
As he does conclude his session, and the session will conclude a minute early with no drivers on track, and I believe that we will now be heading into the Fast 12 for the Fast 12 qualifying.
That will be correct. We see Chesko here ready for the Fast 12. Hydrax just pulling up. Days as well. I believe he will be ready. Mabel as well getting back into his car. And Zerfo. We do have some drivers that have decided to stay. Some have left us, unfortunately. But we'll see.
Yes, as it does believe that we have just been informed by the officials that we'll be moving straight to the 6, not actually doing the Fast 12. We'll be going straight into the, obviously, we'll be going into the top 6. So these 6 drivers will make their way onto the track for one final qualifying session. Who's your pick for this session?
Oh, obviously, it's got to be Chesko.
I'm not sure. I actually think that Unusual has a higher chance to get the fastest lap here. Chesko was quite good in his first lap. However, I think that was more his antics than actually driving in that case, especially with that wall usage towards turn 11. I think Unusual's got it, though.
Well, we'll just have to see what happens here at Long Beach today. Our sponsors as well, just a reminder, Road Racing Development Hub, EDRS, Motorsport Association, which is our officiating body today, and then finally Drifting Designs, all here sponsoring us today on the qualifying at Long Beach.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that Hero Racing Development Hub and that all these sponsors have made their way to the track. Hopefully that we do see them more throughout the season, especially uh, those development groups. As we get the green flag for the final 6, let's see how it goes.
Bell laid out the pits, but we do see 4 drivers now. Oh, Jesus.
Yes, it seems that they're going to give up some space to the cars behind.
We do have a crash, actually. I don't know what car
I don't believe they... no, I don't think they crashed. I think they were just trying to let others by. Oh, as you do say, that Days gets stuck on the fountain. Yeah. Oh, Frozen hits... Yes. Wow.
Yes.
Frozen hit the wall quite hard.
Days and Mabel were just really struggling at the back there. Hydrax.
I don't think they're struggling. I think that they're trying to burn a lot of time off to try to get distance from one another, as that's been... Oh, as he missed the corner entirely there.
If this is
wow, this is
foreshadowing for the race, I don't know what is.
Yeah, but this seems like the race itself might be quite difficult as Chesko makes his way around turn 11. Oh, Terzer hits the wall, inside wall. It gets slowed down quite hard there. As we begin the hot laps here for qualifying for the final 6. Alright, let's follow along your pick here. Chesko up here into turn number 5, or sorry, turn number 4. Now down West Shoreline Drive. He's got some speed on him right now. Honestly, you might have been right with your pick. Down through turn number 8 onto East Seaside Way, underneath the AccuSign. He's going quite fast though, hitting 160 mile an hour down this straightaway into turn number 9, turns 10, and of course the most important one, turn 11. What can he do here? He hits it really well. This is going to be setting a standard. Let's see what the standard is for this session. Hitting a 105.717. You know what? I was wrong. You were absolutely right. I think I know who might be leading the session from here on out.
Absolutely. Chesko is just a beast behind the wheel. But so is Hydrax, 106.8.
Yep. Terzer falls behind with a 108, and we haven't had... Ooh.
Oh!
Jace sets a 106.5. He's up the board.
Mabel and Frozen, though, not actually set that lap time. And I'm mistaken, 116 and 122. That is...
Oh, that is quite slow.
Exactly. It's going to be interesting.
11 and... What is that? 17 seconds off the pace?
Yes.
That is not ideal for these two drivers, especially as we are slowly running out of time in the final 6.
Yes, only 10 minutes for qualifying. These racers will soon see, and Chesko into the pits. They'll soon see.
Yeah, Chesko's back down pit road.
If they actually have enough time to set these laps.
Yeah, as Chesko goes down pit road, I believe that he'll be pitting for a new fresh set of tires to hopefully get another extremely fast hot lap.
Mabel into the wall. We go to Hydrax now, your pick. Hydrax currently number P3, but Day's keeping his lead though with 0.3. Be interesting to see if Hydrax is actually able to pull back that time.
Well, he is catching up to Terzer in front of him. I think that he is going quite quick for the circuit. I think he probably has a good shot to catch up, especially because he's hitting speeds of 166 mile an hour down East Seaside Way. That's 6 miles an hour faster than Chesko was on his fastest lap. I think it all just comes down to turn 11. If you can hit turn 11 right, I think you get the fastest lap time.
Absolutely.
Oh, there's a tire off. It seems that Chesko has lost his tire in turn number 10.
Yes.
And he's on the racing line as caution comes out for the session.
That is very unfortunate for Chesko, but only 2 flags today. That is very... Oh, and we have a red
the
flag.
red flag is out. As Chesko makes his way down to pit road, successfully limping that car back to the pit lane is quite impressive.
He's really trying to get over the line today, and he makes it.
Yes, I'm not quite sure that should have warranted a red flag of the session. However, time is still ticking down, so these drivers need to hurry back to the pit lane, try to reorganize as quick as possible. There's our Unusual makes their way down pit road. It seems like Mabel is already at pit road exit.
Yep.
He seems to be getting ready to go.
Oh,
Because they need to hurry and reorganize.
another one into the wall, and we have another driver in pit lane.
Yes,
Yeah.
all drivers are heading into the pit lane right now for another restart of the session, as Frozen is the final driver to hit pit road. He's got to just make it down at going pit road speed of 50 mile an hour. Seems like he's going to make a pit stop first before we begin the session. As green flag flies, we're underway.
Mabel making a very early start, clearing the fountain there, and into the wall. And, oh, we have a collision.
Oh!
2 collisions. Mabel...
Terzer hits Mabel hard into turn number 5. Wow.
Luckily, no damage to the cars, but that will heavily affect all 3 of their cars' lap times.
Yes, and with only 2 laps able to be ran, all the time in the world matters, especially as we see Days almost get airborne there in turn number 6. They make their way around for possibly 2 more laps left of this qualifying session of the final 6. This has been quite a show thus far, however, it's not over just yet. That 105.7 is sitting on top, sitting there quite pretty, however, there's still a chance that could be dethroned. All that matters is how good these drivers can actually organize their lap times, especially just their pace through these corners. Some of them are going a little bit too fast and hitting the wall, just as we see Unusual do just that.
Absolutely.
It's
just...
This is quite...
crash after crash today.
Yes, it is. Streets of Long Beach are not forgiving. There's a reason why, as we heard later from Fennec, that this is called the Monaco of Indycar. As we are watching Unusual come down through to the start-finish straight, he will be on his second to last lap. If he can organize it well enough, he might be able to get one more lap in. With 1 minute on the clock, it's going to be kind of pretty close. Ooh, but he hits the wall as well. Oh, Days with a 105.729, almost enough to dethrone Chesko. Wow.
That is very close.
That
Literally.
is quite a fast lap there. But Days unfortunately gets stuck and picks up Frozen with himself into the fountain.
0.7.
I think that's their final lap's done.
Yes.
Oh, Mabel hits the wall hard there in turn number 8. Wow. Alright, but Unusual makes his way around to East Shoreline Drive for one final lap here at, a beach. I don't know why I want to say Indy. This is not Indianapolis.
Oh, just going to the pits. EDRS is.
Chesko has been in the pits waiting his car to be repaired. However, it doesn't seem like it will be repaired as red flag flies for the session. And we have our final laps for the session being conducted. Mabel and Durzer barely make the cutoff for one final lap. Unusual is currently running his last lap, going into turn number 6. Days has concluded his lap, but he's got heavy damage. What happened here?
Frozen as well, heavy damage. Lost his wing and his front right tyre.
Yeah, Frozen and Days both with very destroyed race cars now, as we see Mabel and Durzer make their way through turn number 6 and 7, all the way up to turn 8. Mabel goes a little bit fast that corner there, as Unusual makes his way around turn 11 as well, concluding his lap for the session. As we watch Mabel and Durzer make their way down East Seaside Way into turn number 9, Mabel and Durzer making their final corners here at turn 11. Let's see, will there be any improvement for them as Unusual hit a 105.9? Oh, Mabel just abandons the lap and goes down pit road, and Durzer setting his final lap time does not improve. And that will conclude qualifying for today, our final 6, with Chesko taking a pole position with a 105.717, Days falling behind with a 105.729 as your front runners. That is quite a very eventful qualifying session here in the streets of Long Beach. We saw so much today. I don't even know how to recap all of this.
Absolutely, it was just eventful. We had the red flag on the first race or the first lap of Group 1 with a car going or flipping over. Then we had also the red flag in the final 6, followed by the caution as well. Well, caution first, then the red flag. Several war bombs. It's just crazy.
Yes, with the Fast 12 getting cancelled, going straight into the Fast 6, it definitely changed things up a little bit. But I believe that does conclude qualifying for this race, and I believe that we'll have, I believe Fennec will be coming back to join us here shortly.
Absolutely. Just bear with us to see if we can get an interview today.
Desert makes his way down pit road, which will completely conclude qualifying as all cars are off track. And I believe that we have Chesko joining us up here in the booth, our pole sitter now.
Hey, hello, guys.
Hello, hello.
Welcome back to the booth, Fennec. It has been quite an interesting session to watch.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot shorter than usual. Not a lot of drivers attending today. That's unfortunate, but it happens. This is the first session we haven't had actually more than at least half the drivers attending. So, oh well. It was still pretty interesting at the end. We saw top 3 drivers actually getting to the 5-second lap times. So that's something to definitely watch out for in the race. Our main championship contender and leader didn't attend today. He wasn't able to make it, so that's unfortunate. He always has great pace around road courses, especially. And yeah, I guess we'll just go straight into interviews with some of these guys. First off, our pole sitter here, Chesko. Pole, of course, presented to you by RDH.
Hello, hello.
RDH Road Racing Development Hub. Uh, let's go on just straight into the interview. And Jessica, what are your thoughts, first of all, on your quali run? You did DNF you did lose your tire
I mean, hey,
during the final session.
if I'm able to get pole after just 2 laps, I mean, is what it is, you know. Didn't even get to. Only really had one qualifying run, and still got pole, so is what it is.
Absolutely. I mean, you did have a great run. Both sessions, you set a very good pace. And do you think you can improve tomorrow? Maybe just keep running that clean lap over and over again. And any improvements you want to make for tomorrow?
I mean, quite frankly, that's what I do. I'm one of the least crash run drivers in the league, so if I can just keep going without crashes, it'll be good.
I mean, we do remember from the EMCC days, you weren't able to win quite often due to you actually getting not necessarily your mistakes, but they were other drivers. Let's hope that this doesn't continue as we go into IndyCar. Well, round three of the season here. And
Yeah,
any predictions from you, Cam, your main championship contender at the moment? He's going to be starting from the pits, only 1 point
yeah.
apart between you two. Do you think you can run away with it, or will he pose a challenge?
I mean, quite frankly, it's all going to come down to turn 2 and 3. That final section, right? If you can get a good launch, get ahead of the carnage, especially being on pole, it gives you a huge advantage. But we'll have to see how it turns out, right? Also, we definitely had a couple haters coming in this qualifying, especially on Mr. Anti-Fun Meb. But yeah, we'll just see how it goes. Pole position, track position, huge on this track. As long as we don't have an early caution, I'm gonna get a pretty big lead, I think.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. If you don't have any incidents at turn one, which you can see some people probably sending it, but otherwise, you should be pretty good. Rotor is going to be very aggressive, as we know him to be an aggressive driver.
Yeah, he definitely can be a little bit too aggressive sometimes. Stuff gets just said, so we'll see how his mentality is throughout the race.
Yep. All right. And thank you, Cheska, for that interview. And next up, we're going to hear from Hydrax, the guy starting in P3 for the race tomorrow. Hydrax, welcome up.
The cars are the cars AI generated.
Sorry?
Cars are AI generated.
What do you mean?
Why are you behind the gate?
I don't know. Anyway, Hydrax, welcome to the interview booth. And what do you think of your quali session?
It was awesome. I was pushing push to pass even though it was disabled.
Yeah, we noticed that.
Is that in the strategy? Is that the strategy you were running for here?
I call it the placebo effect.
Ah, I see. It definitely seemed to work out here as you ran a 105.9, only 0.2 of a second off the fastest lap. What do you think is your point of improvement, though? What do you think there's left for you to improve here?
I overly brake a lot. During the fountain, I slowed down up to like 40, and most people are around the 60s if I'm not wrong.
So they say turn 11 is definitely the place for you to work.
Yeah, also turn 11.
Yes, as we have seen, turn 11 is definitely a very difficult corner. What is your take on all of the difficulties that we saw throughout the session, starting with obviously in Group 1, we had a flip in turn 5 immediately right off the bat. We had you actually spun out, exiting pit road going into turn 1 during Group 2. What do you think? What's your take on all this?
Something to look at for because the cars are really slippery if you really floor it. And we've been warned about this before we started practicing or qualifying. So, yeah, we have to look out for that. Just make sure we don't floor it every exit or every turn.
You think that's going to be the issue for the race tomorrow, having cars, they do try to exit the corners a little bit too quickly?
Yeah, considering that the track is really packed and everyone obviously is trying to win the race, so there's no limit to what's going to happen tomorrow.
What is your primary concern for tomorrow? As obviously this was just 10 minutes of racing, only about, I think we did a total of 6 or 8 laps. We're going to be hitting 65 tomorrow. Do you think that there will be a good amount of racing, or do you think it's going to be a lot more recovery for everyone?
I think it's going to be more recovery because, I mean, obviously someone's going to crash, but with this track, I feel it's gonna be like way worse than the last two races.
All right, and then one final question for you here at the streets of Long Beach. What do you think is your biggest competitor for this race? Who do you think is going to be your challenge?
Probably Chesko.
Why is that?
Yes, he's shown the pace and quality already, and I said in the last race he went up from, I think it was last, and made his way up to third. So I gotta look out for that because he has a lot of pace.
All right. Well, we thank you for joining us here in the booth for qualifying post qualifying interviews. I thank you for joining us, and I think we have one more driver joining us here shortly. Fennec, I believe
Possibly.
that you have been inviting them up to the booth. Who will be joining us next?
All right.
It should be Frozen if he is willing to do that. I don't think, yeah, he's not going to be able to do that. All right, that's going to be it for us today.
That is quite unfortunate.
Yeah, well, he did have a good run. Unfortunately, fortunately, his teammate was able to have a good run in qualifying today, but not him getting impeded there by his actual teammate there after he made a mistake in the fountain section. So that was unfortunate for his team. They are going to be doing quite a strong showing still, both starting in the top 6. So that's going to be the strongest driver pairing actually starting, as we did not get any other driving pairings starting today, besides the 2 AAA drivers. All right, well, I guess we should, of course, thank the viewers for being here for us and watching along. This was a bit of a definitely unusual session. I do have to agree with both of you on that.
Unusual?
Yeah, really unusual. Not a lot of drivers. But yeah, hopefully tomorrow we're gonna get a good run. Championship leader will be joining us tomorrow, or at least should be. So that's gonna be a great battle. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.
May not be reproduced, retransmitted, or re-uploaded in any form without giving explicit credit to C Media, the featured properties under its C Sports division, and the sanctioning bodies featured in this presentation.